Okay, so I'm here with Vasily. Vasily has been working on a pro-level drift build that we have needed to play a large role in when it comes to designing the suspension and getting the drivetrain and power to the wheels using like a custom Winters quick change mount. A lot of 3D scanning, a lot of designing. I'm gonna let Vasily tell you the details and overview of the car, and then we'll go around and talk about a bunch of points of reference that you guys are going to be interested in.
So here it is, 2009, started as 2009 Audi A5, now has a RS5 2013 body on it, just to maybe spice it up a little bit. As you know, TSH Auto and me, we are working on Audis a lot, that's why we decided to build something different, nobody else have it. And thanks Josiah, he always supports my crazy ideas. We stripped down the chassis, we decided to use the Audi Volkswagen engine for the power plant, so it's a VR6 built-in house, forced internals, big turbo. For now, BMW transmission, and thanks Josiah is a Winters quick change. Other than that, lots of custom parts because nobody did anything like that, lots of fabrication, but thanks Josiah for the angle kit, which makes it a drift car, because we can make a race car with a cage work, engine work, drag car, but the drift car without FDF ratio we cannot make.
So, looking at this chassis, the first thing that I noticed is how crazy aggressive the front end looks, and how kind of the style of our current century, where we are looking for the biggest grills. You see it on trucks, you see it on cars. They did it here. It's the biggest grill you can possibly fit, which is great for performance because it's a ton of airflow into the intercooler and the oil cooler and the power steering cooler. I was really surprised at how awesome it looked once he put the body on. A lot of companies that are being used between myself, what I've learned through building chassis, who to use and what to use. So you see a lot of new performance, a lot of vibrant, grassroots. We had RiseFab, Chris Miller's old friend of mine who helped him design the roll cage and a couple other pieces where he's got a external pedal box that connects to the factory pedals. So a lot of really commonly used parts between my Corvette, my 240 and then this car.
I was using this as a
template.
Yeah, exactly.
So he downloaded a Google Sheets template, but it was my car, and then he applied it to his Audi. So if we walk around, you'll see, of course, the Mantis angle. I'm sure you got a little peek between, like, just looking at the suspension. But inside the car, really like the two-tone paint cage. I did it on my Corvette. It just separates the car and it gives you an eyepiece to look at. Inside the car, looks like you have RiseFab heel plates, which is cool.
Yeah.
Vasily designed and machined these seat brackets, which are incredibly adjustable using our universal seat brackets. So these are made by me, and then he made these work so that you can fit literally anything. Like
exactly, you can fit. You want to sit in?
Europeans did a lot of things not great, but then they did a lot of things that were great. And one of them is BMWs, Audis have the easiest seat brackets I've ever seen. It's just 4 bolts, evenly spaced in a square.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Like, why any other
chassis?
The
only problem is just offset a little bit one side, but it's square, and perfect.
If you look at a 240, you've got one on the tunnel, you've got one folded at the front, another one folded at the front, and then another one that like does this weird L step down. And like, you can't make a seat bracket for that car at all. But the interior is like ridiculously simple. He made this billet plate that holds his shifter and holds his handbrake. The handbrake is angled slightly towards the driver, which basically makes all the pull force in line so that you're not tweaking any of the components on the handbrake. Really good design and idea, because a lot of handbrakes, when mounted straight, you're pulling at a slight angle towards you, and then it makes those bearings and bushings go bad a lot quicker.
Same seat as you have?
Same seat that I have, D&D carbon seat, with lots of replaceable pads to fit, again, any driver. That's it for the inside. It's really, really basic and simple. I'm sure he still needs to add fire suppression, fire extinguisher.
We're working on this.
Cool box, cool suit, whatever you're trying to do there. But the rear looks a lot like my 240. We have the CSF R1 rad, we have the D-rail, fan shroud and fans, and we have our Nuke Performance CFC unit inside of the Pyrotech Nuke Performance FIA rated fuel cell, Nuke Performance filter, Nuke Performance ethanol content sensor, with a bunch of what I'm assuming is Vibrant and Nuke Performance AN lines.
Yes, yeah.
Looks like you're running the 20 from the rad down. Do you go down to 16 at all, or is it
No, we just did all 20. Same pump is almost yours, Mazier, I don't know.
So you're going to be putting an expansion tank off of this?
Yes, it's going to be a firewall here, and exactly same as in the Corvette expansion tank.
Yeah, so he's going to copy, which is fine, the premise of the expansion tank going to the highest point. So he's actually done something pretty interesting here. I haven't done this, but it's like a T bulkhead.
Well,
Where rather than welding fittings to the rad, you can just take your highest point, probably do a 180 off of here,
yes.
and then go right up into your expansion tank. So you're going to easily be able to fill the water system through that.
And on this side, we're going to put the Nuke Performance filling neck, which we have too. It's just I'm waiting for the firewall to install.
Yeah, the new Performance quick latch fill neck is going to go from here into the CFC unit there. And then you may put a fuel level sensor at some point here, which was a game changer because I overflowed my S14 for so many years until I was finally just bit the bullet, paid for the sensor,
no,
dropped
it's
it in, and now I've got a gauge.
we bought essential stuff, which we're gonna work with right away.
Yes, yeah.
And we need fabrication, but the small stuff we can add
If you
on.
do a clear hose, you'll see it, and then you'll stop.
Oh, okay. Now
You'll
I
stop
see.
once you see it.
That's a good tip.
So the reason this car is here today is actually because we designed the rear suspension for this car. It's a unique design. It's not really like anything. It has similarities between a S550 Mustang, similarities between other European cars, but basically it works off of a compliance bushing design. When the suspension compresses and articulates, it actually requires these bushings to deflect a bunch in order for the wheel to move up and down. That's great for a daily driven car. It probably rides really comfortably. The problem is we took the bushings out, we replaced them with solid bearings, and then we found we have a bunch of bind and the suspension doesn't actually compress because the original design needed that bushing deflection. So now we're doing a whole redesign of the rear suspension. So it came in for a 3D scan. I 3D scanned it up. I have the scan of the knuckle, the arms, and everything already. I'm going to assemble it on my computer. I'm going to start connecting some rods and some things so that I can articulate and see what's going to make this suspension work the best possible. We'll dial in our camber curve, we'll dial in everything else, anti-squat and all that good stuff. Now that we're going to do a full revamp, because originally we thought adjustable arms was going to do just fine, but not realizing that Audi designed this to have so much pushing deflection. So that's basically all overview. This car is built to pretty much the highest standard that a budget can allow. And you're going to be running all Link ECU electronics?
Exactly. That's the next step. I just want to bring it in before we start all wiring so we can sort it out. The next step, we're going to be wiring it with Link, get from you. Thanks a lot again.
Yeah, so Link ECU, Link PDMs, Link sensors, Link everything, and then they're going to join it all together. Probably going to run off of a keypad CAN network setup.
Keypad, yes.
And then it's going to be a full-blown race car. And this car is being built for a pro level. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully soon. 2025. Yeah, it's going to take some time, so we need to test it out. So next year, we'll see how it plays. First of all, we're just going to finish, assemble, test it out this year, maybe bring somewhere, maybe go to SEMA, we'll see, I don't know.
Really smart to build a car, drive it for an entire year, work out all the bugs through maxing out the temperature and seeing what the chassis does, seeing how the power steering behaves. Like, all these things are really difficult to fix on a first trial at, let's say, Formula Drift, for example. So they're going to run the car the way it is. I think the only thing they would need to improve would be a dog box of some kind, a GSR, G-Force probably. And then this car would be pretty much built to the same level as our Corvette and our S14. You're running a BMW transmission?
For now, yes, but we decided to do it just for testing purposes.
It's easy.
Yeah, it was like the price consuming for now because dog box will be much more expensive.
How much power do they hold?
700 horsepower. So my Porsche has exactly the same transmission with a 600 horsepower with a 4,000 pounds weight and 22-inch rims and drives no problem. So that's why we decided we started with this one, and eventually we want to do dog box, but for now we're doing this.
He wants to weigh the car. I'm curious too.
It is just interesting.
It is a large unibody steel chassis, but I'm hopeful that it's going to be actually pretty light.
Yeah, we try to do not put too much metal in it too. And but basically from the factory the car has lots of aluminum parts, not aluminum, but some fenders is aluminum. And I think it's the one we have a street car with an angle kit on it. Weight right now 3,200 pounds. And the weight distribution is 44 rear, 56 front yeah. With the engine sticking out past the axles.
Yeah, so I would say the only large downside I see to the chassis itself, which you can make up for by overloading weight to the rear, is the turbo engine placement relative to the front axle center. The engine placement is basically in the middle of the axle center, whereas if you looked at a Corvette, for example, the front of the engine is actually behind the axle center. The whole engine is behind it. So you're gonna have a big difference in weight bias, and that's gonna lead to better grip. But the way that this car is set up with the engine in the front, these tend to handle better. So it is a
Well, we're gonna see. We push the engine as far back as we can because original Audi engine
is way
with
up
a
here.
transmission, because it's a four-wheel drive transmission with axle coming out of the transmission. So it's way over in the front. And for being this way, it drives very nice. You're gonna see it on a Saturday. The guys is gonna bring the car. Yeah. But if you look at the axle, it's not like 50-50. It's, I would say, like 2-cylinder, 2.5 in the front, 3.5 in the back. So we tried, we cut some little reinforcement to push it back, but we don't want to move it too far back because when you need to cut a lot. So it's the smallest V6, VR6 is a very small 6-cylinder engine.
Yeah. 2703, need to add fluids, wiring, and half a body.
Well, the body is 25 kilogram. I mean the fenders.
So the jet in the same state was 2350, but it's the back. So.
And you run the HGK and all that stuff, which is carbon Kevlar is lighter.
No, that's pretty light. So
it's
plus, so what you want to be at, like what we want the Corvette to be at, fully loaded before I sit in it, is this 2700.
Yeah, as I said, we are just thinking about the prospect for now. I know lighter is better.
For prospect, lighter you're allowed to be 2850 with the driver.
Not lower.
You can't be lower than that.
Yes.
That's it. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, bye.